Diego Cervantes opened his eyes at 2 in the morning, his throat dry and scratchy. The house around him submerged in a heavy, suffocating silence. He swung his legs out of bed, the cold floor biting into his bare feet, and walked out into the hallway, his steps muffled by the expensive carpet. But as he passed the triplets' room, he stopped dead in his tracks. The door wasn't just slightly ajar. It was standing wide open, swinging gently as if someone had rushed out in a panic and forgotten to close it behind them. A frown creased his forehead as he stepped inside, the moonlight slicing through the window to illuminate 3 perfectly aligned single beds against the wall. The sheets were tangled, the pillows still held the deep, soft indentations of 3 small heads. And the stuffed animals were exactly where they should have been: Santiago's lion on the headboard, Emiliano's dinosaur at the foot of the bed, and Angel's bear tangled in the sheets. But the children were gone. The room was empty. Diego felt a cold hand wrap around his spine, a primal fear rising in his chest as he checked the bathroom, the living room, the kitchen, and the study. Finding nothing but shadows and silence, he pulled out his phone to call the police, his thumb hovering over the screen, his heart hammering against his ribs, and then he heard it. It was a sound drifting up from somewhere below the ground floor, not from the living areas, but from deep underground. A soft, barely audible humming sound like a lullaby. Coming from the garage, he moved toward the service stairs, his breath catching in his throat, and reached the heavy metal door leading to the garage. The smell hit him first, the stench of cold concrete, motor oil, and the dampness of the night. The garage was pitch black, save for a single, small orange nightlight plugged into the wall that cast a faint, eerie glow over the floor between his black Suburban and his armored BMW. And there, in that circle of dim light, lay a dirty, stained old mattress. On it, wearing her maid's uniform with her apron still on, was Rosa. She was curled up on her side, sleeping on a mattress that looked like it had been pulled from a dumpster. Her pillow so thin it barely existed, but she wasn't alone. Huddled around her like puppies seeking warmth from a storm were his 3 sons. Angel was gripping Rosa's right arm with both hands, his face buried in her shoulder and his bare feet exposed to the freezing air. Emiliano was pressed against her back, but he wasn't covered by his own blanket. He had taken his blue dinosaur blanket, the one he hadn't let go of since he was 2, and draped it over Rosa, tucking her in with the clumsy, careful hands of a 4-year-old who doesn't know how to make a bed, but knows exactly who needs love. Then there was Santiago, lying on the very edge of the mattress, eyes open, fists clenched at his sides in the posture of a guard. He wasn't sleeping. He was lying like a soldier who had assigned himself a shift, his body tense, ready to protect. When Diego appeared in the doorway, Santiago didn't gasp or cry. He simply sat up slowly, pressed a finger to his lips, and whispered 5 words that shattered Diego's world. "Papa, don't make noise." Angel just fell asleep. Diego's knees gave out. He didn't choose to fall. His body simply collapsed under the weight of the image. The cold concrete biting through his pajama pants as he stared at his sons. Santiago looked at his father with a seriousness no child should ever possess, and when Diego asked why they were there, the boy leaned in and whispered, "Rosa sleeps here, so we sleep here." Diego asked how long this had been happening, and the answer hit him like a physical blow, since Mom took her room. Diego closed his eyes, and when he opened them, the luxury cars, the filth, and the betrayal were still there. "Santi," he whispered, "why didn't you tell me?" The boy looked at Rosa, then at his brothers, before looking back at his father. "Because Mom said if Rosa complained, she would leave that same day. And if Rosa leaves, who will take care of us when we are afraid?" The question hung in the freezing air, a demand for an answer that Diego couldn't provide. Santiago continued, his voice steady beyond his years. "Who will come when Angel screams? Who will tell Emiliano tomorrow will be a good day? Not Mom. Mom sleeps with earplugs and a locked door. It's always Rosa." The boy shifted closer and placed a small, cold hand on Diego's knee. "If she sleeps on the floor, we sleep on the floor. She doesn't leave us alone when we're scared. We don't leave her alone when Mom punishes her." The word punish echoed in the garage like a stone dropping into a well. Diego looked around, really seeing the squalor for the first time, the mattress sinking in the middle. The stained blankets, the patched thread, the freezing February air of Monterey. He looked at the cars parked inches from where they slept. Thousands of dollars of metal parked right next to a child's head. And then he looked at Rosa, the woman who had raised his son since they were 3 months old, the woman who knew their secrets and their fears, sleeping on a garage floor because his wife had decided she didn't belong anywhere else. Diego buried his face in his hands as shame rose in his throat like acid. 9 nights. His sons had been sneaking down here for 9 nights. Walking past his bedroom door, crossing the kitchen in the dark, sleeping on concrete because a woman who earned a meager salary gave them something their father and stepmother never had. Presents. The confrontation came later that morning. Marissa stood in the kitchen, holding a folder of legal documents, her voice as cold as the marble counter. She told Diego she was sending Rosa away and threatened him with divorce, half of his assets, the house in full custody, leaning in with a cruel smile. You know what a judge will see, Diego? He won't see a loving maid. He will see a father who let his 3 children sleep on a concrete garage floor with a stranger. Negligence. She turned to Rosa, venom in her eyes. If you stay here, I will make your life a living hell. And when I have those kids, you will never see them again. Rosa looked at the terrified faces of the boys peeking from the doorway, then at the threats, and slowly took off her apron. No, she said, her voice trembling but firm. I will go. They don't deserve to live in a war zone every morning. She picked up her bag of belongings, black plastic garbage, headed for the door, but she didn't make it. Santiago stepped out from the hallway, walked to the center of the living room, and dropped his pillow on the marble floor. He lay down, crossing his arms, eyes open. Emiliano ran past him, dragging his dinosaur blanket, and lay down next to his brother, leaving the blanket spread out beside him. Leaving a space for Rosa, Angel walked out slowly, hugging his bear and lay down between them, squeezing his eyes shut. Marissa scoffed. Santiago, get up from the floor. That's disgusting. Santiago didn't look at her. He looked at his father. If she leaves, we sleep on the floor, here, until she comes back. The silence in the room was deafening. Marissa looked at Diego, expecting him to yell at the kids, but Diego didn't look at his wife. He looked at his sons lying on hard marble, choosing the floor over a house without the woman who made them feel safe. Diego walked over, knelt beside Santiago, and placed a hand on his chest. Nobody is sleeping on the floor anymore, he said, his voice low and final. Not them. Not her. Never again. He stood up and turned to Marissa, his eyes hard. You sent the woman who raises my children to sleep in a garage because you were jealous. You locked her room. You stole her bed. And while you were sleeping with earplugs, my 4-year-old son was standing guard in the dark to make sure no one took her away. Ow. He pointed to the floor. 3 children who have nothing gave everything they had for her. You stay for the money. They stayed for love. Pack your bags. Marissa stood frozen, her calculated facade cracking for the first time. But she saw the look in Diego's eyes and knew the battle was over. She turned and walked away, the sound of her heels fading until the front door closed, leaving a clean, quiet silence in the house. Rosa stood in the hallway, tears streaming down her face, her black bag slipping from her fingers. Diego walked over to her, picked up the bag, and threw it in the trash. You don't need that anymore, he said softly. In the weeks that followed, Diego remodeled the room next to the kitchen, giving Rosa a proper space with a window and a real bed. Eventually, he brought her daughter April to live there too. But in the garage, on the wall where the dirty mattress used to be, Diego hung something behind glass, the blue dinosaur blanket. And underneath it, a small metal plaque that read, "This blanket is worth more than all the cars in this house, 'cause in the end, 3 4-year-old boys taught a millionaire father the true meaning of protecting those who protect you." And every night, when the house was dark, Santiago would knock on Rosa's door and whisper the words that finally meant something. "Good night, Rosa, you can sleep peaceful now."